This is the Authentic Dating series brought to you by Ahmad and David,
where we explore what it takes to have a dating life you're excited about.
and this is the Authentic Dating series. That time I almost forgot to say what we were actually here for. So we are two former dating coaches who are in their 30s that have struggled through our lives and struggled through our dating lives to come out the other end and feeling quite rounded and connected as men. And, you know, Ahmad's in a beautiful relationship and I'm beautifully single. And we feel pretty fucking happy with our lives. And we just feel like we want to share some of the knowledge that we've gained over the years to some people that like to listen to us and hear what we're saying. You know, as many of our friends and random people we've met in bars and give advice to over the years have really appreciated the help. So we create this podcast as a kind of centralized place to, you know, make the world a better place and spread some love and help people in what's most dear to them, which is often dating and relationships and love and sex.
Very good.
I just really made that up. Well, I didn't make it up, but I just come off with that right now.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So in this episode, we are going to go over a topic which we are kind of been deeply embroiled in many parts of our lives. And we kind of have a bit of a working title for this as being, are you a serial dater / love rat / commitment phobe?
Yeah, I started off as being about like, why do some of us men, why do we always end up looking for a better woman?
Yeah.
What are we chasing? It's like chasing, what is it? There's a thing.
Chasing the rainbow.
That's it. Yeah. Chasing a rainbow. That's what it.
Shit, we might call it chasing the rainbow.
I guess no one really understands it. The titles are very
What
important.
about chasing the magic dragon?
Chasing the magic dragon.
Oh, that was a song we got as kids.
Yeah.
But
Puff the magic dragon.
Puff the magic dragon. It's all about heroin.
Yeah. So
Different
this is not
episode.
that. Yeah. Oh, that's what chasing the high. That's what we're thinking of. But yeah. So we're talking here about women and how like some of us, not all of us, I must admit. Some of you are fine. You're not broken. Like some of us.
We're broken and we'll never be fixed.
Some of us always chasing better, the elusive better.
Yeah.
The more.
more, better, bigger.
Give me some more.
Buster Rhymes.
Yeah, Buster Rhymes say, give me some more. So to begin with, you know, like what is it about? And I'm sure the women definitely want to know, you know, is it social pressure? Is it perfectionism? Is it childhood trauma? Media influence, or all of the above? Like, why do some of us never stop searching for a better woman? And as David said, it's a topic that's dear to our hearts. And it took me a long time to recognize this. I guess it's hard to see it when you're in it. But especially after to living this way for like 25 to 30 odd years and going, hang on a sex. Yeah.
Hang on to sex.
Yeah.
That's episode 4.
Yeah. Hang on for sex. Hang on a sex. There's definitely a pattern to my relationships where essentially I discovered I must be what people term as a serial dater. And that is, by definition, someone who is habitually in and out of relationships. Insofar as they'll be in a relationship, they'll find themselves single, and then soon enough they'll be in another relationship. And I think there's another little piece in that where they say, without really taking on board and reflecting what was working or not working in the previous one, and they kind of just quickly get into something else. And yeah, it's just like living that way from one to the other. So yeah, and I've got here in the notes, repeat the cycle. Like, so you're doing that and it's just like you're just on repeat. And it at the time, actually, now that I say that, at the time, much to the dismay of any girls that I've dated who are now listening to this, and who will recognize this behavior in me, is I was always looking for better. Like there was something like, and maybe I didn't tell them that, so now they know. But so awkward. So, but there was something in me, and it wasn't them. Of course, it wasn't them. There was something in me that was like, something's not quite right. Like there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. Like Indiana Jones going on to the second and third and fourth movie, just never being done with that first adventure.
It wasn't enough, was it? He needed more adventure. There must be a better adventure out there.
Yeah. But being chased by a boulder and then almost losing his head and whatnot. Dying is not enough. I must go again and get this other piece of gold. And you know what, actually, phenomenally, I actually uncovered something through this journey. I see now Dave's gone into a listening mode. He's like, yes, this is very interesting.
No, I could add something if
yeah.
you just when the adding time comes. Are we adding?
Yeah. So what arose out of all of this madness, in my experience, was I recognized in myself 3 distinct levels of this never enoughness. And number 1 was this idea that whoever I was with was not attractive enough. That there was a possibility that there could be someone better, more attractive that I could be with.
And it's not even just the potential, because you're moving around the world, you're looking as you move around, you're going out, you might be, you're going to work, coming home from work, you're watching the television, you're swiping on Instagram, you're swiping on Tinder maybe, and you look and you see someone who's better looking, or you see them constantly, and you're like, oh, why have I not got this? Why is this not mine?
Well, so in regards to that, right, there is always the availability of better, but then there's also the personal feeling of I should be with someone better.
Totally.
So it's double-sided. There's 2 sides to it, not double-sided. There's 2 sides to it. Yes, there's always, and it's something that Dave and I have discussed many a time, is that there'll always be, like, quote unquote, someone more attractive or this and that, if you're just looking at it on face value. But equally, in our own personality or in our own sense, to be like, oh yeah, I should be, or there's that sort of feeling. And we actually discussed in the last episode about how men can often use sex for validation, and I think it stems from the same sort of thing here. It's more of a
episode 16, right? So yeah, where we talk about how men use sex as a validation tool.
No, I was just puzzled. Look, was me trying to remember if it was episode 16 or 15. So yeah, I feel like it comes from the same sort of vein as that, as like, need to have as bigger numbers, need to have best looking, need to be better than my friends. Yeah. And then the next one for me was recognizing that the person wasn't compatible enough. And what that meant was, quite simply, there was just something about them that annoyed me, or I didn't get along with me. And of course, in any relationship, there's going to be things, right? But then when that becomes a concern for my own personal comfort, then nothing was really viable.
So when you say not compatible, what would be like some examples of incompatibilities?
So I'm just thinking literally about anything that could arise an argument, anything that it's like, I like one thing, they don't like it. I like sushi, they don't like sushi.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, how are we going to live? Like, how are we gonna live where I want to do this and they don't want to do that? And I may sound a little bit fickle here, but there was like other things like similar to that, whether it's the type of movies that I like going to, the type of movies they like that I don't like, various things.
I think it's, for me, it's kind of occurred as like more not larger things, but things that kind of mean more to me, like how I like to spend my time, or some like values, for instance. Like, I feel like I have this big thing about gathering of knowledge. I love to learn about things and people and how the world is. And, even this podcast is kind of sprung out of a kind of gathering of knowledge about, how humans work together in their dating, but also like around consciousness and awareness. And I've often found that that's a big incompatibility with me and women that I've been with. Like, that's not something I'm interested in, and that's instantly, I'm like, oh, incompatibility. That's not. This isn't going to work, and you see it as something that's wrong. Yeah,
I totally get that. I'm just reflecting from my own life, because I think somehow I've often dated women who are more inclined on those ones,
on the level of awareness,
but anyway,
spirituality and stuff.
Yeah, but irrespective, like, it's just whatever it is for you, how you. I guess the simplest way to look at this level is your enjoyment of life, an incompatibility of how you enjoy life, and that's it. Like, so the first one was attractiveness. The second one is like some form of incompatibility.
And then when you said, sorry, just to recap, when you say attractive, you mean like physical attractiveness.
Physical attractiveness. Yeah. So you could say physical attractiveness, and then second one would be personality. Yeah. Oh, we're really breaking down this model now. Really getting more specific on how this model works. It's you guys are witnessing the birth of something awesome. And then the final one is what I've now termed as like the same foundational upbringing, and that for me was about religion. And it is kind of comical because this is how I actually realized that all of this stuff was going on in the background. Psychologists must be like, oh, this is fascinating. So what it was just one day realizing how I would eventually judge all my girlfriends on how Muslim they were, given my Muslim upbringing and my Muslim background. And I'd be like, oh yeah, this is not going to work out because, they're not Muslim enough. And many people be like, what the fuck does that mean? Muslim enough. And see, the funny thing is that the reason why all of this became unstuck and I managed to see it was because I recognized that I don't date Muslim girls. And it was glaringly obvious. So this was a real unconscious behavior, a real shadow,
real dysfunction.
Yeah, a real egoic dysfunction, very root deep cause dysfunction. And then that blew the whole thing wide open. And then from that day, I was actually able to just make a free choice and recognize what I care about and what I like. And that really brings me on to it doesn't bring me on to anything else actually.
So I guess for me, I see for myself in this kind of serial dater mode is it's very easy to kind of go from one relationship to another relationship. And I don't even necessarily think they have to be serious relationships. They can be very casual relationships, where you just go from one to the next, because there's always a casual relationship to be had if that's what you so wish and you can find. And you, like Ahmad said, you never really deal with the issues or what was the problems in the past ones. And you can always, and for me, it kind of occurs as always finding some fault in somebody. And I'm almost I'm looking for it. I'm preempting. I'm preempting. I'm like, okay, we go on 1 date, 2 date, 10 dates. And I'm like, they're cool, but they don't really exercise as much as I like them to. Or, well, she's not really, in shape, or she's not that pretty, or I can't really talk about everything that I love to talk about. Or, I don't know, they don't. It could even come down to finances and be like, oh, I like to go to nice restaurants and they can't really afford to. You can really find fault at every level. And I see it as it's a very, very crafty and conniving way for you to stay single. Because if you always find fault with someone, then there's always going to be a reason for you to end things and move on. And some of it's very kind of egotistical and very shallow things, and you almost feel ashamed to admit them. But if you keep on down that path of always finding something wrong, then what's going to happen? You're always going to stay single. And this is a huge issue for, I think, society at the moment, is that, a lot more single people are around, especially in the late 30s and 40s. And people are feeling very lonely and very disconnected. And a lot of it comes down to is this kind of level of expectation as well, right? Of expecting to find everything in a partner. Well,
yeah, actually. And this is what you just said there. I think I missed it. This was the crux of it for what I've termed as my 3 prongs, what I was discussing earlier. And that's what it was. The enlightenment point of that was recognizing that, these 3 things, looking for someone who's more attractive, looking for someone who's ultimately is basically my double, it's compatible, basically means they're so like me that there couldn't be any sort of friction between us. And then finally, someone who has the same foundational upbringing as me, to the core.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily even truly care about it, to that level, basically is a great equation to keep me single.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing here as well now is it seems like for a lot of societies today that they are stuck at the second level of compatibility. This whole Tinder age of going to meet someone and just expecting to have it all, expecting to just be wow and wooed and constantly in happiness.
Yeah.
Relationship happiness.
Yeah, that elusive place that it doesn't always kind of happen straight away. I was out with a friend of mine the other day, went down to a market in London, hadn't seen him for a while. We travelled together for a little while a few years back, and we were talking about online dating and stuff like that, and he made some really good observation about how and he's gay, so he's meeting up with guys, and he's saying sometimes before he's even got to meet the guy, he's already decided that it's not going to work. And I'm like, do you see how that doesn't work to have that thinking, right? Because if you get there like that, there's no chance for that to kind of go anywhere. But equally, he was saying, and we were having this conversation, I was saying, well, my issue with a lot of online dating is it's just purely based on a picture. And really, there's a market trader actually I met that day in the market on Saturday, and he said something amazing. He said, I asked him to take a photo of him because the background of the wood, and he kind of quite distinctive look. And he's like, I don't really like photos. And I said, okay, cool. But you know, photos are very useful. They really capture a moment in time. It can be really quite beautiful. And then we got on to talking about online dating. He's like, I don't do that shit, mate. I was like, why? He's like, because you can't feel someone through a photo. And I was like, yeah, my sort of man. And he was like, you just can't feel someone through a photo. And it's so true, right? It's like, you can swipe all you want, but if you met someone and you looked them in the eye and you're like, wow, sometimes you just feel something, right? When you meet someone, they might need to say 2 words to you, but you just feel drawn to someone. You don't get that feeling for a photo. You just get this kind of like, they look nice, you know, pretty face or whatever. And that's what we're kind of losing. And I know we've gone off on a bit of a tangent here. And I know sometimes it seems like really bashing online dating. And I know it has its absolute joys and wonders. And we've both done a whole fucking shed load of it over the years.
Well, yeah, I mean, as much as you say, like, as much as that guy says, you can't feel someone through a photo. Some of you may know, most of you don't, but like David's really into photography at the moment, and he's pursuing like especially portrait photography. And I remember when you were taking my pictures, it was very early on, and you were saying how you really envied the professional photographers who are good at capturing people's essence.
That's true.
And so what I got from that is it's not necessarily completely true that you can't feel something through a photo, but actually it takes a great degree of skill to capture essence through a photo.
Yeah.
And most of the photography that's going on social media is not that level
anymore,
at least anyway.
No.
Yeah.
And then,
there's no essence. It's all just...
But it's, you know, in terms of going back to this kind of, you know, asking yourself if you're a bit of a serial dater, it's like, for me, I see where...
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Got off topic again. It's seeing that you're just finding fault or finding things wrong in someone else and not being kind of forgiving and going, okay, cool, they're not perfect. It's like, is it a deal breaker for you? And once you end up having a very long list of deal breakers, you're going to end up with a very long period of being single and alone and maybe feeling quite isolated. So in this, like, you know, this is even a lesson for me right now in my life. I see where I still do this. I'm still kind of, you know, meeting women and finding faults in them and saying, oh, this isn't right. They don't look right. They don't feel right. I don't like the sex. I don't like how they feel. I don't like how they look or whatever it is. But it's a never ending fucking game, right? It's a never ending game. You can always find something wrong with everybody. Even your best friends, there's shit about you don't like, but you get along with them really fucking well. Why? Because you compromise, you forgive, you're compassionate towards them, and you learn to work with them through those differences.
And so yeah, one of the things that we saw was that, you know, when actually a lot of people get into this cycle of looking for better, in the end, what it actually becomes is just looking for different, because you're not actually looking for better anymore. You're just looking for someone who's not that which you've become accustomed to, and you're just playing out the dysfunction of just not being willing to commit or to compromise or to be human and have foibles and issues. And so my thing and what really helped me, what I feel like my breakthrough, so to speak, my awareness that were expanded is in recognizing, like I was saying after David spoke earlier, like that was what it was recognizing that after I established those 3 things about me, it was those 3 things are a great way of keeping me single, and that's not what I wanted. And so my thing and my tip to anyone out there who feels they resonate with what we're saying here in regards to being a serial dater, or they associate with that, they acknowledge it. I know it's actually something that a lot of people wouldn't want to acknowledge, or, you know, they don't get it, or maybe they don't see a problem with it, and that's fine, I guess. But if you are in that sort of phase and you know, you actually
want something different,
you want a relationship, or you want something else, and you've had enough of that sort of endless that infinity that black hole of dating, then I would say, like, what is it that you actually want? And ask yourself that. What do you actually want? What would you actually love to have at this point in your life? And what would you love to create? Because always searching for better will only ever keep you in the looking phase.
Yeah.
You're just going to be looking.
And there's always looking to be done.
Yeah, like, like Dave said about his friend who's, whenever he's going, he's always, see, it's an interesting one from that perspective. He's always just looking because he's still going to meet them. But then he's already presuming that this person is not going to be the one that's anything more is going to happen with. So what are you doing then? You're just looking.
Yeah.
That's it.
I really like that, because we don't often look and go, okay, like I think this is what we're really about, is bringing kind of, and when we say call conscious awareness, it's like being consciously aware of what you're doing. It's like, what's going on? What am I actually doing? Instead of, what's the story I'm telling I'm doing? Like, the story people may tell themselves around dating and kind of serial dating is like, oh, I'm just looking for the one. I'm looking for that wonderful match. But actually what you're doing is you're trying to avoid finding that person.
Yeah, there's actually a really important personality to notice as well, because the thing is, when David and I talk about this, we're often standing in a place of responsibility, like personal responsibility. So we're often standing in a place of like, oh, I'm the one who is doing something and I have the power to change that thing because I'm the one doing it. And so we must shed light on anyone who feels that they are not responsible.
It's all the people they're meeting.
Yeah, and that comes up a lot. Oh, it's not me. I meet.
And you hear it a lot in guys and girls. It's like, I meet loads of fucking dickheads, or I meet loads of fucking like girls that don't want anything serious, or girls that don't take me seriously, whatever it is. It's like, actually there's responsibility for you in there. It's not, you can't be that's called playing the victim.
Yeah, and the one thing to really kind of pull the rug out of that sort of concept is to recognize, well, what is the one common denominator in all those relationships that didn't go that way?
That's it, and it's you.
Yeah,
there's just you. You're the only thing that keeps consistently popping up in all these relationships that you keep having.
Yeah.
And this is a lesson for us as well. Like, I hear this and it really speaks to me. Like, shit, like, and I look at my own self and go, oh yeah. I know what's going on. It's me. I'm fucked up.
Yeah.
Everyone else is fine.
So I only did this podcast to help Dave. So. We're done now, so I'm out. See you guys later.
Oh, poor me. There's always take personal responsibility of what's going on in your life. You are the thing that's consistently moving through your life. It's you. So look in the mirror when things aren't going the way you want them to.
And yeah, just to add to that, it's not like, and this is a very important point about personal responsibility. It's not saying that you're to blame for everything, but rather that you have responsibility in how you react and what you choose to do going forward. And that's the responsibility. That's the power that you have. And the minute you think you don't have it, then you have no power.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing there. So I think that's the round. That's it. Just to recap then. What we went through in this episode is, are you a serial dater? And what to do if you are one. And combined with that is like, why are some men, I guess women too, but we're focusing on men here. Why are some men always looking for a better woman? And we've gone through different things about social pressure, perfectionism, all these different things. And really, I feel like in this episode, Dave and I really have been as vulnerable as we can be about our own past and our own lives in order to shed some light on how we see things and what made life better for us. As much as Dave's still single, he's not like running the same sort of programming in that respect, and he's having much deeper connections. I think, I'm saying it, but
I'm having better problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know, from the kind of girls you're meeting before to the kind of girls you're meeting now, like you're talking about spirituality and stuff, the change in values, like bang, from going, oh, I'm not meeting these sort of women to, oh, fuck, that's the kind of women I'm meeting. That's a big shift. So yeah, and to be mindful then, if you find yourself in a repeating pattern, and to ask yourself, what is it that you actually want, and what are you telling yourself that essentially means that you can always be single, and always be playing that serial dating game.
What's that story you tell yourself about yourself?
Yeah, I have mine.
And also, what do you tell yourself about yourself? What do you tell yourself about the people you're meeting? And what do you tell yourself about the world in general? Yeah,
and this is actually not something I would say, you're going to go ahead and write down and get it in one go. but something that you should observe. So, listen to that last bit again and observe that in yourself. See what you tell yourself, as they would say, and
what you tell yourself about others.
Yeah, and what you tell yourself about others in the world, and just paint that picture and really get to know it. Because as I said, like, it was like uncovering my ego, the dark side. And the dark side is called the dark side because you don't normally see it. So that's the thing. It doesn't just rear its head and show itself. You must observe it. Be very intellectual with yourself.
Shine the light.
Cool, guys. That's a wrap. Thanks again for listening. And please do check us out on Instagram. We've got loads of fresh content there and videos and posts. Dave, you've been writing a lot more.
Yeah. We've been posting on Instagram, but also on Twitter.
Twitter.
On Twitter.
Medium as well. I mean, we're really...
Yeah, I've been writing some articles on Medium, just under the name of David Chambers. And on Twitter as A Dating Series. I think that's our handle on Twitter. If you search Authentic Dating Series, you'll find us on Twitter as well.
And I'm regretting saying that it's a wrap now because I know most of you have already dropped off. But very exciting as well is that we're planning to bring guest speakers on soon, and it's already in the pipeline.
Yeah, so that should be coming up in kind of May, June time. We probably have like a nice chunky wad of guests talking about some really juicy topics like sex, masculinity, connection, and travel as well, I think as well. Yeah,
all sorts.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao.